Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we are looking at something absolutely incredible. We're talking about a wildlife sanctuary that is quite literally redefining global conservation as we know it. It's a completely groundbreaking initiative that takes compassion and scales it up to an industrial level, all while blending ancient Indian healing traditions with some of the most cutting-edge veterinary science on the planet. The place is called Vantara. It's a massive operation located in Jamnagar, India, and trust me, it is turning heads all around the world. Okay, let's dive into this by looking at the core philosophy driving this entire operation. This quote right here from Vantara's founder, Sri Anant Mukesh Ambani, really sets the stage for us. He says, "I see God in animals and Vantara is my temple." Now, that isn't just a catchy PR tagline, you know? It's the foundational belief of the sanctuary, the idea that every single being, no matter how big or small, deserves dignity, care, and a genuine chance to heal. And as you'll see throughout this explainer, that belief translates into massive, tangible action. So, here's our roadmap for today. We'll start with the sanctuary's foundational vision, explore its specialized care for elephants and small wild felines, go over the legal scrutiny they've navigated, dive into a wildly fascinating international hippo rescue, and wrap up with their global coexistence model. Let's start right off with Section 1, a sanctuary born from vision, scaling compassion. 3,500 acres. That is the staggering, and I mean literally staggering, physical footprint of the Vantara facility. To put that into perspective for a second, this isn't your typical animal shelter. Not even close. It is a vast, meticulously designed, naturalistic environment. It's specifically built to give these animals the sheer space they need to heal, to socialize, and basically rediscover their natural instincts. And within those 3,500 acres, an unbelievable volume of lives have been saved. We're talking over 150,000 animals, representing more than 2,000 different species that have found sanctuary here. These are animals that were rescued from severe habitat loss, human-wildlife conflict, or confined spaces. Vantara isn't just treating individual animals. Their mission is about healing entire ecosystems and restoring a natural balance. It's like a giant functional reset button for thousands of displaced creatures. Moving on to Section 2, Elephant Care and Recovery at the Radhe Krishna Temple Elephant Welfare Trust. Inside this specific 998-acre center, over 260 rescued elephants are receiving lifelong care. And the way they do it is fascinating. It uniquely blends ancient Ayurvedic traditions with top-tier modern veterinary science. These are gentle giants that were saved from really tough conditions like logging camps, circuses, and crowded city streets. So, step 1 of their care? Ayurvedic oil therapy. They use therapeutic massages to calm the elephants and ease chronic discomfort. Step 2 is hydrotherapy, using pressurized water jets to gently massage animals suffering from severe arthritis and chronic strain. And finally, Step 3, they have advanced surgical care. We're talking state-of-the-art facilities capable of complex surgeries to restore things like mobility and vision. It is a completely 100% holistic approach to healing. Which brings us nicely to Section 3. The Advanced Wildlife Rescue Center and their science-led care. The Green Zoological Rescue and Rehabilitation Center, or GZRRC for short, pays incredibly close attention to the science of wildlife welfare. They focus heavily on 18 specific species of small wild felids, animals like the rusty spotted cat and the Eurasian lynx. They use something called positive reinforcement training. Basically, this allows the animals to willingly participate in their own medical checkups, which drastically reduces their trauma and stress. No force, just cooperation. They also employ tactile and olfactory enrichment, using things like specifically scented paper or puzzle boxes to keep the animals' minds sharp and stimulated. And their nutrition? It's literally engineered with scientific algorithms. For example, their research found that just adjusting the feeding frequencies for captive cheetahs can actually improve their gastrointestinal stability without causing any physiological stress. How cool is that? And this brilliantly illustrates that their care protocols absolutely do not happen by guesswork. Everything they do is based on a systematic review of over 100 academic publications. So from the way they design an enclosure to their preventative care routines, it is all strictly grounded in rigorous academic research and nonstop behavioral observation. Let's look at Section 4, Legal Scrutiny and Vindication, Passing the Stress Test. Now, you might be thinking operating at this massive, unprecedented scale is bound to invite some scrutiny, right? And you'd be correct. It was a rigorous test of their operational integrity. First, multiple high courts dismissed various public interest litigations, which are essentially public lawsuits.
The courts affirmed that the animal transfers to Vantara were totally lawful, driven by welfare, and strictly non-commercial. Second, a special investigation team appointed by the Supreme Court cleared Vantara of charges, confirming they were in full compliance with both the Wildlife Protection Act and CITES, which is the major global treaty protecting endangered wildlife. And to top it all off, Vantara achieved the prestigious Global Humane Conservation Certification. That's a major independent international verification proving they maintain world-class welfare standards.
All right, Section 5, the Colombian hippo translocation, a diplomatic endeavor. Let's pivot to their international reach because right now there is a very complex ecological crisis playing out in South America. Down in Colombia's Magdalena River Basin, a population of invasive hippos originally introduced back in the 1980s has grown so rapidly that authorities actually authorized the lethal removal, or culling, of 80 of them. It's a dire situation, but Vantara stepped up and proposed a radical alternative, a fully resourced, completely humane intervention to safely capture, translocate, and provide lifelong care for all 80 of those hippos over in India.
So the crucial point is that Anant Ambani directly appealed to Colombia's Minister of Environment with a comprehensive scientific and operational plan. Vantara offered to handle the entire thing: the veterinary leadership, the capture expertise, strict biosecurity protocols, and they even offered to build a purpose-designed habitat in Gujarat that perfectly mirrors the hippo's current environment. And they offered this entirely on Colombia's terms, pending all necessary international government approvals, of course. It is just a massive diplomatic and scientific effort to solve a really complicated global wildlife challenge.
Finally, Section 6, a global coexistence model, a temple of healing and hope. To really understand Vantara's true capability on a global scale, you just have to look at their daily logistics. It's mind-blowing. They have 11 satellite labs that process over 2,000 diagnostic samples every single day. They generate 156,000 kilograms of specialized nutrition daily, delivering it via a fleet of 50 vehicles. And that feed is supported by a network of 1,000 local farmers. But here is the most important part. The end goal isn't just keeping animals in captivity forever, it's rewilding. A perfect example is the recent successful release of 53 spotted deer right back into the wild to help strengthen the local ecosystems. They are a fully integrated, science-led operation. And they are actively, aggressively planning for the future. Vantara recently announced the launch of Vantara University. They envision it as a modern-day Gurukul, which is a traditional residential center of learning in India. It is designed to be the world's very first global university dedicated exclusively to wildlife conservation and veterinary sciences. The goal is to train the absolute best future leaders in One Health, conservation policy, and advanced animal care, seamlessly taking real-world field knowledge from the sanctuary and plugging it straight into their academic programs. By fusing this deep, compassionate philosophy with hard science and unbelievable infrastructure, Vantara isn't just rescuing animals today. They are quite literally building the blueprint for tomorrow. So with the launch of this global wildlife university, the question isn't just what Vantara is going to do next, it's how their model will force the rest of the world to fundamentally rethink what is actually possible in global conservation. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep learning.